What's up, everyone? One more time.
Yeah.
Here we go. Ready? Everybody quiet. On two. What's up, everybody? Now I fucked it up. God damn it. Keep it. Drew, don't take that out. What's up, everybody?
You had one fucking job.
One job. Nope. Keep it. Keep all of this. All right. I'm going to start again just in case. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rear Naked Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Jamie Kilstein.
And I'm the other host, Drew Weatherhead. And we actually, for the first time in Rear Naked Radio history, are joined with a third co-host. We would love to introduce not only a guest for the show, but the co-host of this episode, Black Belt under Kyotera, amazing resume of female competitions and accolades. Kristina Barlaan joins us today. How's it going, Kristina?
Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for doing this. There's so much stuff I want to talk to you about. First of all, I have a fucking bone to pick with you. And I know you gave me healthy advice. You give me such loving advice, and you're so good with like self-care, and you send me animal videos. But I feel like it's you and Drew. And I wasn't even going to bring this up, but it's both you guys. We're like, Drew eats like a child. And
is this an intervention?
It's no.
Okay, good.
I don't even have the fucking energy for it. He eats candy all day, and he's
I got
just
the
like,
energy. I've been eating candy.
I know, and he's in like fantastic shape. And if I eat a piece of bread, I have the beer gut of a divorced racist.
Man, I feel sorry for your genetics, man. You gotta take that up with your parents.
It's so bad.
That was so on point too.
And by the way, it only goes to my stomach and my face. Like, it's not like equally proportioned out where like I just slowly over time, you know, when you
wait a sec, quick question. If you had the choice, where would you like it for it to show up?
Well, I already have. I'm going to be honest with you guys.
You want that booty gains? You want booty gains?
No.
You do.
I'll be real. I got booty gains.
Oh.
I don't compliment myself about anything except for that.
I expect a lot of ass shots in the next week.
It's so bizarre. Like, to the point where when I go to buy jeans, I have to like, and I will only do this with a girlfriend, so it doesn't seem like I'm like being a fucking weirdo, where I'll be like, hey, I have a question about size. And I was like, I don't know how to say this. And the girl will always be like, you got a butt on you. And I was like, yes, I do. So that is always a thing. I'm
just saying, you just gotta start doing like your influencers in the wild thing, like just under nature walks with the animals, just like, oh my god, in nature, but like really, it's your ass.
Yeah,
it's your ass, right. But like you're like, oh my god, bunnies, but it's my ass.
Oh,
but bunnies.
Those poor bunnies. I don't have the heart to do it to the bunnies.
I picture Jamie in that Dumb and Dumber scene where he's putting out the vibe, just hanging out there.
No, because then like, what if I set a bad example for the bunnies, and then what if the elder bunnies start to cast out the millennial bunnies because the millennial bunnies have become little like social media tyrants like I have. Anyway,
I saw Jamie Kilstein on his nature walk, and he said, "Sun's out, buns out." So
he said, I would be so upset. Guys, don't ruin my bunnies. That's all I have. That's all I have left. And if the fucking bunnies turn into little Instagram influencers, I have nothing. Because I go to the wild.
Follow them. I would follow those.
No, stop it. I go to the wild to escape my phone. And
what if they got verified?
Oh, yeah.
I don't even have verification. And they're like animals who have verifications. And I'm just like, how? But how?
I know.
You can't even text your own like commentary, like, that's not you.
Kristina, I don't know how to tell you this. It's not the animals texting. I don't want to be the one to break it to you.
Are you sure?
Like,
there's some really clever stuff there.
No,
they say humans.
No, now that I got my blue check, the first thing they do is tell you, hey, by the way, you know all those verified animal accounts? And I was like, yeah. They're like, it's not real. And I was like, no.
Damn. I like to think that Instagram's got like at least a couple animals on staff. So if like an animal gets requested for verification, it'll be like, send it to dog. And it's like, hello, this is dog.
Yep. PETA requires that. By the way, I should point out that I have so many jiu-jitsu questions, like really good, important topics. This is the first time Drew and I have recorded at nighttime, and I'm such an old man that like we're delirious and we're talking animals, and we've been talking about it for like 5 minutes.
It's an amazing world out there. You never know.
Okay, so here's the fucking bone. You were all trying to distract me because I'm mad at Kristina, and people were like, how can you be mad? So she gave me this great advice where she was like, hey man, like, self-love isn't about just like restriction. I don't know how the fuck you phrase that. I don't care. I'm gonna misquote you. I'm so mad. And like, you can just like have ice cream and like love yourself like one night and just really enjoy it. And that is healthy advice. And that is advice that I get. I cannot do it. If I have ice cream once, that whole weekend I am gonna eat ice cream until I'm sick. And like, it'll start with a post. You guys can monitor my mental health by my Instagram stories, where my first story will be like just treating myself to some ice cream. And then like 20 stories later, it'll be like, someone send help. I never want to have a cheat meal again. And like, I'm like,
I need somebody to pick me up at the Cheesecake Factory. I started to spiral, guys.
Yeah. The police are outside.
Freaking like on the news, you're gonna be like, "Whoa, we heard some rummaging out in the back," and it's like Jamie Kilstein out in the dumpster, like rummaging through like all the like expired ice cream buckets or whatever gallons.
Jamie Kilstein's in a dumpster, and then when camera showed up, a bunch of bunnies started flashing their titties for Instagram. That was the callback, everybody.
There you go.
Guys, this is bad for
There's gotta be a thing for like, you know how they have like Florida man? They could have like Arizona man, right? You're in Arizona, right?
It's me, yeah.
Yeah. It'd be an Arizona man, you know, pillages warehouse, ice cream warehouse with
people are
animal.
People are like, you can just call him Jamie. It's just Jamie. You don't have to call him Arizona.
I feel like Arizona man has to have COVID though.
Oh yeah. Arizona men, all Arizona men.
Arizona man on mushroom high or crazed mushroom high. I don't know. Was it,
guys, I'm going to Vegas this weekend and I've stopped drinking, which I love and is great. I'm going to Vegas to do some videos with some UFC fighters. I like some comedy videos, and I'm going to be doing acid. So I'll come back with stories next week.
This is what I'm going to title the episode.
Interview.
Yeah, well,
I'm going to title it "Jamie Kilstein gives up drinking for acid."
For acid, but yeah. By the way, everyone thinks that like anytime you think something is a joke in my profile, it's not. I had a post yesterday that everyone was liking. That was like, because I'm an artist, can I write off LSD for my taxes? And that wasn't a joke. Literally, what happened was, I was in my email box and I have like a tax folder for like email receipts, and I was just staring at the Venmo I sent to my friend for drugs. And I was like, I mean, someone pointed out it's education. Someone pointed out it can be entertainment. Education was my favorite. Oh, no. Someone goes, technically it's travel. And I was like, yes. Such a fucking good joke. So I can't do it, man. I feel like, and I literally put out a thing that was like, I don't think I can have cheat meals. And everybody wrote me all these, and I got mad at them. I just ignored everybody who was like, hey, that's not healthy. Like it's impossible to not have cheat meals. And I was like, I just don't understand how, and I know you guys are not the people to ask for advice. Here's what I've come up with. Tell me if this is unhealthy. Because obviously the reason diets don't work is if you restrict yourself entirely, you end up just binging out. Like it's unhealthy. It becomes like a form of like an eating disorder.
Yep.
So the mentality
is to eat bad all the time.
I
feel bad about it. It's just normal.
Drew's just built up an immunity for sugar somehow. It's so crazy. You like
it's not impossible. You can do it. I mean,
you've done it too.
Do it all the time. Yeah, I have to do it when I have to get down and weight for competition. So it's like, I can eat whatever the hell I want, but I can also like eat healthy, train hard, but also eat like a trash panda because I am.
Right,
so,
right.
Like,
you got you as my motivational inspiration.
Motivational trash panda. You need a theme song. Oh yeah, all right, great. Yeah, you guys have essentially like vaccinated yourself with bad food, where you inject yourself with the virus to prevent. That's what you guys have done. But like, I
don't eat bad all the time. I don't eat shitty all the time.
So are you good with?
It's like it just seems like I do because I post it a lot. But I can I literally can eat whatever I want. If I have to be disciplined or if I have to limit, I can. But also there's times where I just like, fuck it, whatever I want.
I got a related question. Did your starting to post and starting to eat shittier happen when you met Kaio, or?
No, this is like a family problem.
Oh my god, that's right.
I am Filipino. That is like social interaction can't happen. Like, where did my social anxiety start? It started at a young age where I realized I couldn't talk to people unless food was present. So
Right.
it's like, it's a whole cultural thing.
That's when I started eating meat again. I was vegan for so long. And then I literally started talking to my mom about Hawaii, and we were talking about like all the Hawaiian food we ate. And suddenly I went from being vegan to eating like fucking like spam and eggs and like Kahlua pork. I can
Cultural.
never. That's the thing. Even like I'm still primarily plant-based, but I can never be a judgmental vegan anymore because the amount of spam I've consumed could like feed a nation. Like it is. I feel like if you've eaten spam once, it doesn't matter how long you've been vegan. It's like, buddy, come on, you can't fucking.
I'm waiting for the spam spiral.
Put it in me.
Stories.
Yeah, exactly.
Inject me.
Oh, he's back in the dumpster. So here's my for people who are actually thinking about like food stuff. Tell me if this seems like a good solution, because I know, and I say this to people, which is like, if you're shamefully eating your cheap meal, earned meal, whatever the fuck you want to call it, then one, your cortisol levels are going to spike. You can actually like gain more weight. You're not enjoying it. Obviously, anything doing with shame can lead to more addiction because you feel like a piece of shit. So like, if you are going to do it, and I legitimately like, I got that fucking Stephen Colbert, Ben and Jerry's ice cream, and I enjoyed the fuck out of it. It's just harder for me because with discipline, it's harder for me to get back on track because I'll do the thing where I'm like, well, I might as well make a weekend out of it or whatever. I think what I would like to do is like, okay, maybe I need to take the foods that are so physically addictive. Maybe they're just not for fucking me, because just like alcohol isn't for some people. So like maybe my cheat meals aren't the fucking ice cream or the Grubhub pizza when I don't have time. But my idea is if I can raise the bar on like what my cheat meals are, at least for a while, you know, like if I go out to dinner, then I can have dessert at like a nice restaurant. Or if I go from, instead of ordering a fucking pizza, like a homemade pasta, I think that's kind of the move, because now I'm elevating my cheat meals a little bit and then making my overall bar better. That's my plan.
What do you think, Kristina?
Yeah, like there's always a balance. Like for me, I kind of there's a different variety of diets I have done to help me get down like for light feather, because like typically I walk around the low 120s, so I'm like either really small for feather or just a little bit bigger than light feather. So I'm somewhere in there, just because I'm tall for light feather, but I'm like really skinny for feather. So I'm somewhere in between, right? And obviously I don't say I can't maintain a diet all year round, but like there's no need for me to be that, because I just want to be happy, you know? But I don't restrict myself completely. So I've done a whole bunch of different things, from either counting calories and counting my macros, and then I'd say I probably did the best with intermittent fasting. But that one was kind of a little crazy too. So I always kind of think back at kind of like, I don't say like the psychological thing of it, but I'm kind of like, well, why am I eating?
Biggest.
Yeah, it's like, why do I want to eat this? Why do I want to eat this particular thing right now? Like, is it, is this an emotional eat? Or is this like an actual, like, physically I need this? Or is this like a psychological eat? Like, is my mouth just lonely? Or or like,
you just want to flex on Jamie Kilstein?
Yeah, like, because there are times where it's like, again, because this is like, again, like generational and culturally, this attachment that I have with food has definitely made for some really bad eating habits, right? Like I obviously I can't socialize without food. Like going to a party and there's no food, and I can't interact with food. Like I don't know what to do. I'm like, what do I do?
Do you have a lot of
what do I do with my hands?
What do I do with my hands?
Do you have siblings too?
I have one older brother, and he's like way different from me. He's
okay. So I'm one of 5. So we have the Hawaiian thing on one side, the Jewish thing on the other side, and then 5 siblings. When you said family has to do with your food issues, I was like, I wonder if it does with me too. And then I flashed back to the last time we were all at a meal together, and I ate so much bread before the meal that I was sick, and all of my brothers were chanting, eat more bread, eat more bread.
Yeah, dude, like I'm telling you, like especially as like a female in Filipino culture, it's like I can't win. Like I grew up being super skinny, so it's just like, oh, come on, you need to eat more because you're too skinny. Who's going to love you? Who's going to marry you if you're skinny like that? You're looking like a twig, right? And then I'm like, all right, so then you eat, you grow up thinking that like, oh my God, I need to eat. I need to prove to people that I eat. Like if I wasn't eating and there was food present and I wasn't eating, I'd be like, oh shit, look, yeah, look, see, I'm eating. You know, I had to show that I'm eating. And then at a certain point where I started like gaining weight, like, oh, but you know, be careful eating too much of that because you don't want to get too fat. You know, who's going to marry you if you're too
Stop eating bread.
Yeah.
Stop
so it's
eating bread.
like, what the fuck do you want me to do? You know, literally, my mom, when I had to tell her, like, I'm dieting, like, around, like, during, like, my birthday time, because getting down for weight, especially for Master Worlds.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I have to diet. And she's like, Anak, but why? I'm like, right, but why? You're so skinny already. I don't understand. I'm like, I need to make a weight. And she's like, but Anak, look at you. There's nothing.
She's like, your mouth looks so lonely.
What more can you lose? I'm like, there's a lot more I can lose. I'm like, and it's like I can't win. So
yeah,
I just kind of had to like the intermittent fasting. I would say like even if it's not like your thing, it'll definitely open your eyes as far as like when you know you can't eat and then you realize you want to eat because it's just kind of like, oh, you're bored. You're bored.
So dude, that actually. Well, first of all, I'm going to steal your term. And whenever I'm eating pizza and someone's like, are you okay? I'm just going to be like, I have lonely mouth is what I'm going to call it from now on. Drew, have you ever done intermittent fasting?
Not in the technical sense. I have like skipped meals before when I'm
because you have a bunch of kids. Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, there's that. Honestly, like when I'm cutting weight for a competition, I just change my diet, period. So like I'll go straight veggie, I'll drink a lot more water. There's like simple little things. And like I got a metabolism that's just like, well, I guess we're just going to lose 150 pounds. So it's just
so insane. Yeah. No, intermittent fasting really worked for me. So I used to make fun of it where I'm like, oh, this is literally just an eating disorder for people who listen to Joe Rogan's podcast. Like, that's all it is. It's like
patented eating disorder.
Yeah, like I want an eating disorder, but also like I listen to Rogan, so we're just gonna call it intermittent fasting or whatever. And then, you know, I listened to a couple of podcasts with like I think it was like Ben Greenfield. There are a bunch of people I respect that I heard talk about it, and so I know there are physiological, biological, positive effects. For me, it was exactly what you said, Kristina, where it was like essentially proving to myself that I could even do it because I would ruin vacations. I've ruined vacations with family, with girlfriends, because especially when I was vegan and I was so concerned that there wouldn't be food. So I would like over plan and these entire trips would be based on food, but not like in a fun Anthony Bourdain way, but in a panicked Arizona man way. Yeah, it was brutal. And so intermittent fasting was so interesting to me because I feel like it was just now, yeah, I actually do have time to assess, am I actually hungry? Is this whatever, or am I just bored or sad or have lonely mouth or, you know, and I actually heard there's this guy named Abel James, who's this big trainer, and he talks about intermittent fasting and he calls, you know, when a lot of times when we get these stomach pangs, we assume that's hunger. And he calls that false hunger, which I really like. I've never heard that before. So now I can ask myself that question, like, is this false hunger? When you're hungry, like actually hungry, you feel like weak. You're like, you know, you don't want to get to the point where you're famished, but you can tell if you're actually hungry. And I remember when I started intermittent fasting, I was doing hot yoga and I was fasting and I would get out around, you know, 9 o'clock. So it was still pretty early. I usually eat my first meal around 12. I still do this. And I felt so good after yoga. I was sweating. I got a good workout in. And the second I got outside, there was this bakery and I started smelling all the croissants and bread. And I got that stomach
Eat
thing.
More bread.
Eat more bread. And
Say
I
croissant.
Croissant.
and and I felt it, and I was like, oh, right, it is directly fucking related to just I'm just craving shitty food. It has nothing to do with actually being hungry.
You also got to think too. There's also the emotional attachment that sometimes we have with foods too, like certain smells, like especially I think like smells like really trigger memories, like nostalgia. Yep. So like if I smell a certain something, I'm just like, oh my god, my grandmother,
This takes
memories
me,
of being
me
a cousin.
back to
oh my god, yeah.
the year of 1992. It was the summer.
Yeah, guys, why the fuck else would I eat, why would I eat Spam? Like that is literally the only reason. I mean, even when I was vegan, I would walk by barbecue or cookout, and I would be like, "That's horrible and smells delicious." I just think about
the good old times with my cousins out in the backyard.
Yeah, like my dad's cooking out and stuff. Okay.
Wait. Before we finish the, I got something about the spam thing, and then I've got another thing before we leave the food topic. So, Jamie, this one's just for you because you're such a Simpsons fan. Do you remember the time when I think that it was Lisa that was going vegetarian?
My favorite line of all time. I literally just showed someone this episode the other day.
Yeah, so they're saying she's talking to, it was Homer that was talking to her. It's like, can you have ham? Can you have bacon? Can you have pork? It's like, Dad, that's all the same animal. Oh, sure, Lisa, some magical
animal. Yeah. My favorite, and I think the most underrated line from that, I don't know why I find it so funny. I think because I've always hated this food, even when I was vegetarian, is when Homer's having the big pig barbecue and Lisa wants to win them over. And she comes out and the whole town's there eating this giant pig and eating barbecue. And she's like, wait, I have great news. You don't have to eat meat anymore. And she's like, and she had a big pot of gazpacho. And she goes, I made gazpacho. It's served ice cold. Trying to sell the soup by saying it's served ice cold. It's so good.
Very cute. Last question before we move off the food topic. I'm very curious about your input on this one, Jamie. Do you consider acid a cheat meal?
Oh, interesting. I do have a serious answer for this. The reason I can't smoke weed is not because of weed, it's because of food. So like I actually think that my biggest issue, so I have addiction, alcoholism in my family. I never liked getting drunk, which is the only reason I'm not an alcoholic. I've gone back and forth being completely sober and not drinking, mainly just because I have a really shitty relationship with alcohol because of my mom and trying to be healthy. It's like, even if I have 2 drinks, I'm like, I don't feel, it doesn't add anything. Yeah. So I only want to do drugs or substances that will enhance my life. So even doing acid, if I'm not going to go do it and like go walk around the strip, like I'm either going to be in my hotel room or I'm going to go to nature or I'm going to like try to make a video. Like I want to do something like mushrooms I did by myself with literally like a Ram Dass documentary and like a list of shit I want to like figure out about myself. So with drinking, I'm kind of like, I heard someone describe drinking once as the anti-psychedelic. So I'm like, I don't really want to do it. And then, so in theory, I'm more of a weed guy. I like weed people more than drinking people. But I'm that cliche, man. I just eat so much shit when I smoke weed. So acid, I just assume I'm just going to be fucked up on acid.
Flash forward to the news cycle of Arizona man found on strip, butt naked.
Screaming about spam and
flashing his bunny buns.
I mean, how many calories would you burn while being on acid? I mean,
there you
go.
It might even help the diet. I don't know.
Might even have. You guys are gonna get a video from me. I'm gonna text you both a video of me on acid, being like, "My mouth's so lonely."
I would like to go on record saying that we are not medical professionals.
Oh, did people not know that we were?
I think a lot of people think we're medical professionals. That's why they're tuning in.
Guys, big mistake. This is a jiu-jitsu podcast. All right, let's get sad and talk about women, everybody. Kristina.
Well, we're happy people.
Yeah.
We cry sometimes. We're also very joyful. We know we just exude life. Life comes out of us quite literally.
That is true.
That's very true.
Yeah, you guys really do get the shit end on everything where it's like, we're like, why do women complain? If you just look at childbirth, where it's like you have to carry a baby in your body and shoot it out of you, and all we had to do was come, and we're just like, all done, like, go make a baby, and then we're fucking out.
It's like, can you just imagine 12-year-old you at a pool party and all of a sudden just blood comes out your dick? Like, you know, how traumatized would you be? Like,
we would be such babies.
Like,
oh yeah. Yeah,
dude.
Most guys can't handle
God, oh my God, you know, like, shit, like, it happened. I'm gonna say it happened to me. It happened to me.
Guys, for anyone,
and like, luckily I was like, I knew what was going on, but I was like, oh,
yeah,
why today? Why in the pool party? Why?
Kristina, you need to know that it's either because of your Wi-Fi or you got, for anyone listening in audio, that whole silence, she was still doing an impersonation of bleeding out of her vagina. And so it looked like on video that you got so into it that you froze your own computer while your arms were flailing saying, why? Which kind of made it better.
The drama was very high.
Yeah. But also,
I was impersonating a man having their period through their penis, you know. So I don't know how a 12-year-old boy would hold their penis like this. Well, here, I don't know. I don't have one. I don't know.
First of all, that's very sweet of you to think a 12-year-old boy would need both hands to hold. I was like, what kind of fucking 12-year-olds were you hanging out with?
/ what kind of expectations? Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Figuring one's for the balls and one's for the actual dick. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that works.
I don't know how guys work with their stuff. I don't have anything hanging in between my legs, so I have to use my imagination.
You nailed it. I think that was it.
Well, I'm glad you asked, because we are medical professionals. All you need to know is the pee is stored in the balls, and that's all you need to know.
True. That was such a good callback. Applause all around, everybody. So here's how this episode happened. This episode happened because for listeners, we have some crazy guests coming up. Wonder Boy's coming up. Aljamain Sterling's coming up. Like, fucking ridiculous names. And we thought we were gonna have some people, and then schedules and publicists and everything just kind of fell apart last minute. And Drew and I were just gonna record tomorrow. And then I was like, hey, buddy, having a bit of a mental health issue. I gotta go work out. And we were like, let's just do a late night Q&A episode. So this was not supposed to be social commentary, but I made a little bit of an observation where I started to get a bunch of questions coming in. And the difference in questions between men and women was so fucking horrifying, where anytime it was a guy, they were like, hey man, do you have any advice on supplements for joint pain? And I'm like, all right. And then it would be a girl, and it was like, hey, how do I get guys to stop sexually harassing me at the gym? And then it would be a guy being like, man, I just got my 4th stripe on my white belt, and I'm getting really frustrated. And then a woman would be like, black belt followed me in my car. And it's like, holy fucking shit. Just the caliber of bullshit that I think even the best guys among us, hopefully the majority of jiu-jitsu guys are decent guys. It's just things we don't consider. So a lot of the specific questions I have in my DMs, and I want to talk about it. Mainly,
obviously. Send a few to the FBI?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. They weren't from the guys being like, hey, how do I grow better? So I want to get to those questions. I figure we'll spend about a good 45 on the joint pain, and then we'll hit up the whiny women for the last, I don't know, 2. And so I want to talk about them specifically. But then I was like, I'm gonna be a woke hero, and me and Drew. And then I was like, oh, I should probably get one of my very smart female black belt friends, because she's giving a thumbs up, everybody. She's left, everybody. We hung up on her. Because I also think it would be a good idea, instead of Drew and I hypothesizing. I don't want to be the person who asks devil's advocate questions, but I think I can see how a lot of the issues that women have could be blown off, and I just want to talk to a source who has been around the game for like a very long time. And to be clear, and Kristina and I were talking about it, we have a ton of other questions that I want her input and everybody's input on. And I don't just want it to be like, well, today we have a bunch of sad questions, so we're going to talk to a lady, because that seems to happen a lot. But I also think this is a great opportunity to talk. So the thing I got the most, so Drew and I have gone into like everything recent that's happened with Claudia, with De La Hiva, how ridiculous all that stuff is. But I got today a lot more of just everyday questions where apparently there is a lot of fucking like groping issues when rolling. And so I wrote to a bunch of my my female friends, and what I wanted to know, because obviously like that shouldn't be a topic that Drew and I have to talk about. It should be, hey, don't fucking grope women, you maniac. Like that's the end of the conversation. There's no like dialogue to be had. But I was talking to a well-known purple belt. I will keep these all anonymous. And she was really funny because I asked her, I go, hey, I can already see a lot of guys being like, yo, it's jiu-jitsu. I have balls in my face. Like, you know, if I hold this a seatbelt on someone, you know, whatever. And for me, I just want to go ahead and say that like there's a difference, you know. But this woman I was talking to was great. She said, so she was the one who brought it up. Okay, so she go, because I asked her, I go, what do you think the majority of like accidental brushing and touching is compared to people who are like maliciously doing it? And I had one person say a black belt straight up grabbed, this is someone different, a black belt straight up grabbed her, like groped her, and then tried to convince her, and she was a visiting white belt, and then tried to convince her to like do a private. So like there are fucking predators out there. But for everyday guys listening, being like, which should I not fucking roll with women? Should we kick out all the women like De La Hiva did?
Problem solved.
So this is what
no women, no problem.
No women, no problem. They just panic and start groping guys' chests, just be like, sorry, bro, it's what I'm used to. Okay, so she wrote, so I'm very fortunate, this is someone different. So I'm very fortunate, because I asked her, she goes, I'm very fortunate that I have never been intentionally groped. I've of course been unintentionally touched. It's fucking jiu-jitsu, but it was very obvious it was an accident. I full on grabbed guys in the dick before, but I'm immediately apologetic. I think that's the thing. Intention is hard to tell sometimes, but when there's a full on grab and squeeze, it's hard to deny. I think that's the first sort of rule of thumb. There should never be a honking action. Like I've never needed to squeeze a guy's dick or just, although I was with some fucking white belt the other day, and I got him in side control, and he totally panicked and he squeezed my dick. And it hurts so bad, but I was like, I can't show pain because he knows what he did and he's going to be horrified. And so I had to pretend that I was just like, that didn't hurt. And I was in remarkable pain. So anyway, Kristina, this shouldn't be something we have to talk about, but obviously it is. How fucking common is this? What can guys do instead of throw their fucking hands up and be like, well, I'm not going to roll with girls? Like, what's your take on all this?
Well, because it really is such a wide like spectrum of shit that can happen. Like I've personally been groped, and I shit you not, it's happened when I was actually teaching, and my uke groped me. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
This guy, well, he obviously got kicked out, but like just a whole bunch of well, so like I was showing technique, I was teaching at one of the affiliate schools, and he had already gotten kicked out of the main HQ, and he like for whatever reason just randomly popped up. He's like, hey, I want to do the yogi class. I'm like, and I'm like, well, you know, maybe things have changed, right? I should have known better. I really should have, because like my flag was already up, right? And it's a relevantly new program, so pretty much all my students are brand new white belts, don't know anything. And he was like, I think a purple belt at that time. So like, I was showing the technique. He was on bottom, and while everybody was on one side, his hand was groping me up on this side.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm talking while it's happening, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, immediately it's just kind of like, all right, go to the front, like, dude, this guy cannot come back. I had to talk with some of my friends who are police officers that also trained at HQ. I'm like, hey, what should I do? You know, like, so shit happens, and this guy was like, he was a case. Like, he not only harassed a lot of the women at HQ, but he also harassed some of the guys too. Like, he was a nutcase. He was a nutcase. Like, he just had it in his head that people wanted him, and it was. By the way, dude.
to any blue belt who's thinking about quitting, the fact that this asshole made it to purple, can you guys maybe not quit?
Yeah.
You fucking you loser. And that, by the way, says something about, I mean, okay, so maybe this guy was mentally unstable, but I still think this can make a larger point, which is the lack of accountability. And this is something that I think a lot of guys don't understand when, like, women talk about, like, not sharing their stories or whatever, the lack of accountability that often happens, where it's like, oh, this guy thought he could do it to the teacher while she is teaching in front of an entire class, and there would not be consequences. Like, that level of, like, not giving a fuck is insane.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I literally had to threaten him, like, you need to stay the fuck away from me. I'm gonna contact the police if you ever do again. If I ever see you again, like, I'm gonna make sure that it's known.
Yeah.
That, like, you are a predator, you know? So as far as all the other stuff, it's like, I mean, it's pretty easy. Like, I mean, if I as a woman can roll with anybody and not, I can avoid chest area and crotch area easily. Like, I mean, like, I can't think of too many, even when you're in someone's close guard, you know, there's not much reason why, like, there's plenty of places you can put your hands in. If a woman can be conscientious of doing it, like, I feel like a guy should be able to do it too. And
also,
like, and
Kristina, Kristina, we've also seen how you think you handle a dick and balls. So I was like, I don't even know if you would know what to do with it.
I wouldn't do that in jiu-jitsu. I wouldn't be like, hey, what you got going on over here? How does this work? No, like, you know, like, it's just kind of clear. Like, even in, like, some of, like, the most vulnerable positions, like, if you have someone turtled, right, and you're trying to take their back and you have to, like, grab underneath the leg or whatever, like there's really, like, there's so many things and so many ways that, like the closing of a hand just doesn't have to happen. Like, it just doesn't have to happen, you know?
Yeah. And even with,
it's
like,
hard for me to feel like it's intentional, you know, or, like, not intentional more often than not, you know what I mean?
Because even with the seatbelt, like, I mean, you're, like, kind of, like, under the sternum, like, with your fist, and, like, you know, there's and maybe so kind of switching gears, but kind of not switching gears. I know at Marcelo's, Marcelo a lot of times would put me with the visiting women, and Aaron was, like, one of my main training partners, and so I've rolled with, like, a ton of women because I'm also, like, a smaller guy, and from talking to them, I know that, like, you know, one of the things they have to deal with is constantly having dudes be fucking spazzy and taking mommy issues out on them. But then on the other end of it is almost treating them too delicately. So you have to find that balance of, like, hey, I'm going to give you, like, an aggressive role, but I'm also going to be intelligent about it. Do you think when it comes to stuff like this, like, I'm trying to think of stuff I do that may be a little, like, too dramatic, where, okay, so when you said close guard, I thought about this. So I like to have if I'm with a guy, especially, like, a high guard player, I'm, like, shoving my head into their chest, and then hands are on the bicep, usually, whatever. I just don't do that with a girl. Like, I'll have my head hover, but, like, I don't know, it just feels like I don't need to, like, motorboat a girl. But, like, should guys be, like, is the way to stop, if you're not malicious, if you're not trying to do it, if you're just trying to fucking have good hard rolls, for the guys listening, should there be part of their brain that is, like, jiu-jitsu rolling, and should there be part of their brain to be, like, maybe a little more cautious than when you're rolling with your homie? Like, if I grab Drew's dick, that's hilarious and we're going to laugh about it because Drew doesn't have a history of oppression and because it's hilarious. And
because you got to use two hands, right?
You have to use
True.
Forget the leg, forget the knee. I don't need my grip.
No.
Just right up in there.
I would actually be very flattered if you use two hands.
All that candy weight has to go somewhere. It's just going to Drew's dick.
Yeah, you really missed your chance when you're selecting where to put it.
Oh yeah, it's a good point. So what's your thought on that, Kristina?
I mean, like,
how cautious is too cautious, I guess.
So I would always consider, like, man, the same way that you would roll with a female, right? Especially if she's smaller than you, not as strong, is the same way that you would approach training a guy who is smaller than you and not as strong, right? Yeah. Like,
well, I'm gonna fuck that guy up. I'm gonna be real with you.
Take out your daddy issues.
Yeah, like, tell me I'm not good enough, right? So like, I
couldn't eat any more bread. There was no more bread to eat. I'm so full.
Jesus. But like, if you have to use your most devastating, like, A game thing that you know is 100% going to work every single freaking time, like regardless of size, on someone that you know is smaller than you, like, I feel like you're missing a really great opportunity to try out things that maybe you don't know as well. You know what I mean? Like, I notice I catch myself when I'm training, especially with other women who are smaller than me or guys who are smaller than me that aren't as experienced. It's like, depending on how much they are exerting with me,
okay,
I'm not gonna beat them up with stuff that they don't know about. Like, I'm not gonna do like a crazy berimbolo on like guy that's only been training for a month who's smaller than me or somewhat closer to my size, maybe like 20 30 pounds, because at least it's still a little close for me. Like,
so you're not even talking about like on a gender level, you're just like on a don't be shitty at jiu-jitsu level.
Exactly. Like, do better jiu-jitsu. Like, you're being presented with an opportunity to use better jiu-jitsu because you have to, right? You don't like, if you're using something to like, okay, like, yeah, this technique really works because I'm big and strong, and I'm like, well, then it's only going to work if you're big and strong, you know. And here's an opportunity, like, if you know it's going to work because you're big and strong, then you probably shouldn't use it, you know. Give yourself an opportunity. Like, I noticed I'll try to make sure I use actually stuff that's like on my lower success rate, because I'm afraid of trying it with people bigger than me or my size, at least at that point. Like, I don't want to use it then, you know. But when I work my way up, right? You know, when you try new moves or you try techniques that you're not quite good at, you start with people who are smaller than you, less experienced, and you work your way up, right?
That's what white belts are for, right?
Poor guys. But you know, like, I feel like guys can do this too. Like, you have an opportunity to use your best technique without using any of your strength or any of your size advantage. So if you can't do something purely in its actual form, then like, you have to really think about, like, is your jiu-jitsu actually that good? Like, because you should be able to roll with everybody. You should be able to, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like,
again, it goes across the board. Like, if you know, if you are rolling with someone, like a guy that's smaller than you, and your intention is like, well, I just want to mess him up, like, probably there's something wrong with your jiu-jitsu, and you probably shouldn't even be training. Like, there's gotta be something going on over here, you know?
Bro, my best move is grabbing an ass as hard as I can.
We just, you know,
yeah, this one's called a cheek lock.
Open up the key, and then we just go, right? Like, because like, I want to think about, like, how many guys actually do anything or remotely around this area or the crotch area.
I was trying to think of what I would even put my hands there for, in gi or no gi.
Yeah, so like, I don't
like if I was in closed guard, I'd frame the hips, not the chest. Don't put your arms forward in closed guard. It's a horrible idea.
It's either right here, right?
In the armpits or on the hips.
Anything here, you're gonna get armbarred. Yes, it's a really weak grip. So like, I don't understand at any point why your hand would go here, unless it was an accident, you know. So like, if it's frequently happening to women, it's like, man, at this point, this is like a choice of where someone is deciding to put their hands, because there are infinitely better places that you can put your hands. And there's like infinite, like again, like, if I were to talk with a guy and have them recount all of their roles with other guys and say like, hey, how many times do you think that you get touched in your chest area or your crotch area? And if they were really to think and sit about it, like, I don't think it's actually that much. Like, you can count a lot of like a lot of accidental ones, but even on the accidental ones, like no one is purposely grabbing in this area
Right.
or this area. I'm putting down, so you know where I'm going, right?
Yeah.
I think the most is maybe like cupping the butt, right? Like when you're passing the guard, especially from like a half guard or something other, like
sure,
like an inverted half, or
something,
you know, when you're cupping the hips, right? So like obviously there are actions, but like there's very, very rare cases where I can see that like someone is straight up having to grab here.
No,
It's not a good place to grab. It's not.
And again, and Kristina, if your phone's on Wi-Fi or whatever, if you could shut it off, because you do kind of crap out every once in a while, and it's usually when you're getting heated, which is again hilarious for Drew and I to watch. But you're saying such good stuff. There shouldn't be a reason, and I just want to say something, which is, guys also have guys have the biggest responsibility here, and I'm not trying to sound like wokey McWoke, but like, Kristina should not have to come on podcasts to tell guys not to grab a strange girl's tits in a jiu-jitsu class, where the fact that this is happening still so regularly, it's like we have a responsibility to regulate our fucking people, which means if we see it, obviously we say something. If a guy's talking about, I mean, dude, I don't like if a guy's talking about, like, you see the fucking new white belt, it's like the girl who came in here for self-defense, and like, you know what I mean? Like, we kind of need to like shut that shit down a bit. Like, look, I'm all for, there are awesome couples that have fallen in love doing jiu-jitsu, and I think that's adorable. And when I see those couples, I'm like, that's all I want. But there's a difference between that and like the black belt who has fucked every new student that walks in the door. And I don't know, man, I feel like there has to be a way that kind of all of us can do more, where it's not like women have to start some fucking private Facebook group to like get the obviously creepy guy kicked out. Like, I remember I was going to a gym in Brooklyn for a little bit with my ex, and I brought in a bunch of girlfriends who were like journalists and stuff, and we were training, and we all were at my house one day watching the fights, and you know, we were asking, me and my ex were asking like the new girls, like, hey, what do you think of training and whatever, and we were telling stories about this guy who was kind of this weird guy, big stand-up comedy fan, and he was this weird dude, and I'm like, he's not like weird to you guys, right? And he's like, no, he goes like a little hard, but it's fine. And then like one of the girls paused and was like, hey, it's normal for guys to get boners when rolling, right? And I was like, nope, not normal.
No.
So like the next day, well, two things happened. And Drew, I've told this story, but this is the same guy. That same guy, after the bell, kneed my ex in the face. And then I was like, well, I guess we're not supposed to knee in the face. We're not supposed to knee, let alone after the bell. And then I was like, well, I guess we're fucking going next. And he goes, I'm sorry. And I was like, me too, man. And then I
do what I gotta do.
I put my hands down like Nick fucking Diaz, and I leg kicked him until he left the gym and never came back. But I went to the head coach and I was like, hey man, I don't know how to tell you this. This is weird for me, but like, homeboy's getting a boner when rolling with the girls. We should probably do something about it. And he didn't do anything about it. He was like, well, I don't know how to talk to him about it. It's like, you say don't get an erection when you're rolling with girls, or you don't let him roll with girls, or you kick him out. And it's like that. We're not dealing with a 12-year-old who doesn't know what a boner is. We're dealing with a grown-ass man. And so that's, I think, another problem like at the top. Like, people have to be like, there has to be just like a zero tolerance policy with that kind of shit.
Yeah. It's kind of like, usually like the really shitty thing is kind of like women are made to feel bad about like if we have a problem with something, like, oh, but we don't want to like inconvenience other people. I don't want to like make them feel bad. He was
trying to get a boner.
Exactly. So like, but that's the thing. Like, even if I say that, like you say it, somebody like, oh yeah, dude, that's completely right. But if I say it, they're like, are you sure? Are you maybe you know, maybe he just has a large package. Maybe he felt it wrong. Like, there's so much gaslighting that happens.
Are you on one of your Cardi B feminism kicks?
Yeah, you know, it's there's so much gaslighting. Or, you know, if you have you know, having a student who's just like, man, like they have incidents and like they talk about it, and then all of a sudden, you know, you have higher up being like, man, like, it seems like you're always telling us about these problems. Are you sure it's not your, like, are you sure you're not doing something? And I'm like, come on now, you know, like, so, and these are just like recollections of different stories that have been told to me, have been, you know, chatted to me. So obviously all anonymity in there, but like, but in general, there is a lot of gaslighting. There's just like a lot of like higher ups, or like, I guess a lot of men don't want to believe until it's like they have no choice but to. So it's kind of like one person says it, they're like, okay, we'll keep an eye out, right? And it takes for like another person to be like, hey, this happened with so and so, to be like, okay, so now we're starting to see a problem. Like, then it's like, okay, we'll tell them stay away from the girls. Then eventually they get kicked out. So there's like this process, but like, it's hard, you know, because sometimes the offenders have girlfriends that train at the gym, or have wives, or they have kids, and they can like hide behind that, like the idea that they have a wife, or they have a girlfriend, or they have kids, kind of gives them a pass, like, oh, but he's got a wife, they wouldn't do that, or they have a girlfriend, he wouldn't do that, they have kids, they wouldn't do that, right? So it's kind of like, yeah, but it did happen, you know, right? So regardless if a person has like the facade of having good standing in society, they can still be capable of doing stuff that's really shitty. And that's the part that kind of like keeps a lot of women from speaking out about things. They're like, oh, but I don't want to ruin their life. I'm like, dude, that they violated you, you know, that person literally violated your boundaries, and like, and you want to be polite, or at least you're being told to be polite, because it's really inconsiderate to ruin somebody's life, or to call them out like that and expose them, you know, because everything is about keeping, at least with the patriarchy, it's about keeping men comfortable and keeping women complacent. You know, it's like, it sucks. So we just have to keep talking about it and just keep calling it how it is. And, you know, as male allies, essentially just like, if you see something that like doesn't look right, you know, especially if you're seeing like an upper belt who's obviously bigger, you know, rank, and they're trying to always constantly roll with like smaller, lower ranked females that they have no familiarity with, you know, like, you know, obviously it's just like, man, this doesn't look right. You know, like, you have a plethora of other training partners that you can definitely choose from. Injured, not injured, want to roll with someone smaller, you don't have to roll with the lower rank, like inexperienced female that you have no familiarity with, like that you don't have any personal relationship with, like you guys don't even talk. So like that looks wrong, you know?
Kristina, that was a great answer. It's such a bummer we can't air this because it made me really uncomfortable as a man. So that sucks. But I got other questions. This is for both you guys. Drew, I want your take on this first. This is another question we got. I got on Instagram, and I know you actually specifically had a lot of thoughts. I'm going to talk about this. How do you feel about this? Happened maybe a week ago now.
Okay, I didn't mean to get that boner. What?
Right. Look, man. If you want to come back to the gym, you can roll with the girl. Kristina,
I didn't think you're going to air this.
Yeah, Kristina.
That lonely aisle song where, you know, like, oh, breeze came through the window, I just in my pants.
Yeah. And before you get mad at him, Kristina, he has kids and he has a wife.
Right.
So you're exempt. You're cool. Yeah.
Untouchable.
Yeah, we can't ruin his life.
No.
Untouchable. He's Canadian. No one can be mad at him.
Yeah, I'm Canadian on top of that. Jesus, he's literally Jesus. He's Jesus.
That's right.
He's Canadian Jesus. They don't believe in God up there. Drew, Grace. How do we feel about Grace? Obviously, winning her super fight, but getting her black belt.
Oh, this is an exciting topic. So first of all, really, really excited that she got her black belt personally.
So cool.
And I knew the moment that yes, this is what I'm getting to. so
I actually thought she was younger than she is.
Well, she looks like she's 12 at all times. Her whole life she's looked like she's 12. But
Asian no reason, just saying.
Exactly.
It's stuck with this face for like 12 years now.
It's a blessing and a curse, right? So I knew the moment that she got her black belt, I saw the post that I was like, she's 17. I heard that she just turned 18. So I was like, that's still like maybe the youngest black belt in known history. So there's going to be a lot of like Brazilian fundamental Gracie Jiu-Jitsu people that are not going to be happy that Eddie did that. And first of all, I was like, well, that's just typical Eddie. But I really hope that people that did have a gut reaction, like she's too young for that, to like take the moment to understand how freakishly phenomenal she is. She's been training for 13 years as an 18-year-old. So
I need to say that like IBJJF is literally trying to change rules so that like kids like the Ruotolo brothers don't have to be held at the juvenile belt levels. So if they can change rules, and they're not even black belts yet, they're not even black belts yet. Like, you know, where they're still purple belts, and like they're trying to change the rules so that they can get their brown belts earlier, you know, so they're not like, so that they can continue to grow, right? Because the pot essentially is so small at juvenile that they have to grow at the adult, right? And they're already competing at all these adults. So if they can make exceptions for male juvenile athletes, I'm pretty sure there's no fucking problem doing it for a female juvenile athlete who is of the same caliber.
I remember when I lived in New York, I would visit LA, and I would always do I would stop by Cabrinia's, and Cabrini and I would just like roll for an hour. And one day I rolled with his son when he was still a kid. And like sometimes there's always going to be part of you when you look at someone who is so much smaller than you. Like, I remember the first time I saw Nicky Ryan, like, Nicky's put on some muscle, but when he was, like, new, like, I looked at Nicky Ryan and I was like, I know everyone's saying he's good, but, like, I could fuck that guy up. And, like, Samuel Cabrinia's kid, I was like, I could fucking take that guy. And you roll with them and you're like, you're not a child. Like, you are some weird. Like,
what alchemy is this?
This hurts. This is horrible. Drew, I mean, you've been around, but both you guys, you know, I feel like until Dylan came to Marcelo's, like I was just so removed from like any drama. I just trained at Marcelo's twice a day. I didn't really watch stuff on Flow. I still don't know half the people. Like, I don't know what's happening. But the what the fuck was I gonna say? Oh, so when I saw Grace got her black belt, no part of me thought there would be drama behind it. Both of you have just like been, I think,
made this face.
Yeah, you've been more tapped into the scene than I have, and like what pisses people off. That to me, I was like, well, surely everybody will be celebrating this tiny wonderkin who smiled for the first time publicly. She got her black belt. It was like this like beautiful thing. Did people actually get pissed off? Like, did you see anybody like?
100%. I talked to them. Oh yeah, yeah. I talked to them immediately.
Why are people so miserable?
Why are they so miserable?
I mean, like, I can be honest though. Like, I actually like obviously I know who she is, and I've only seen her compete in like nogi stuff, and she's always just killing it, always winning. But like, I don't know what belt rank she was before. Like, are people saying that she skipped ranks? Or
no. She got her ranks very quickly from blue belt up. So she went blue to purple to brown in like a year and a half.
I mean, didn't BJ Penn get his fucking black belt?
Well, this is what I mean. Like, speaking of Kristina here, her fucking coach got it, what, white to black in 3 years? Like, there are situations that the IBJJF shouldn't have any purview over. And I mean, legitimately, they don't over Grace, because she got a 10th planet black belt anyways from Eddie Bravo. And they give a shit about
IBJJF, right?
No, she never would. She's like a super kid, super fighter, right?
Yeah. I don't feel like anyone could, like, say that like she didn't freaking earn it. I mean, she's definitely gone through the years. She's definitely gone. She's definitely proved it over and over and over and over
this is
again.
just it. They're stuck on the rule, not the skills, not the person, right? So
well, and I think Kristina, you brought up a I think larger point for the people who aren't super nerds listening, which is when you were like, why do you have to be so miserable? Where okay, so the Grace thing, like the three of us agree, right? Like, cool, dope. Support. If you're bitching that someone got a black belt who hasn't been doing it as longer than you or is younger than you, it's like, train harder, shut the fuck up. But the being miserable in general when seeing someone's success, I think is a far more insidious, whether it's at your gym and your training partner gets promoted before you. And I think we've probably all had moments like that. We're like, I fucking tap that guy. You know what I mean? Like, that mentality in general in jiu-jitsu, off the mats, in your career, in relationships. I was talking to a buddy today who was like, started to get jealous of his friend's relationship. And it's like, anytime you are so focused on other people, that is time that you are not spending improving on your own shit. And if you instead lead your life being fucking happy for people, sincerely happy for people, and leading with gratitude and like, fuck yeah, this person, fuck yeah, that couple, fuck yeah, that black belt, you're actually going to end up getting shit a lot faster because you're working harder and you're just like a happy, more confident human.
Yeah. It's just like,
you guys can't see, they're both slow clapping my speech.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I was giving Kristina the floor there. I figured that she would have something. I was just like, yep,
yeah.
yep,
Yeah,
that's it.
well, because it's just like, man, how can't dispute that she's got so many accolades. Like what else can she prove other than like, you know, I think there's gonna be like a lot of people like, well, why don't she just come and compete the IBJJF and see how that works? You know, she can only win. Yeah, she's like, oh, she can only win under EBI rules or under XYZ rules or under or like, but she is successful at what she does in her skill set. Like why does she have to excel in your skill set in order for her success to be valid for you? Like,
that's a great point.
Like, again, like, I love the gi. I don't care personally myself for training no gi too much. Like, I just don't enjoy it as much. Like, maybe I'll do it like for fun every now and then, but like, it's not my thing. I don't enjoy competing in it.
Yeah.
And do I understand everything that 10th Planet does? No, but who am I to like hate on them? You know, like, that's what they enjoy doing. That's what they're good at. And if that's what they want to commit their time to and dedicate their time to, like, cool, right? If they're doing their own thing, like, that's all that matters. Like, okay.
And that's such a rare, healthy attitude, because I'm the exact opposite of you, except I'm right. But like, I like no, but I'm the exact same way, where it's like, I like no-gi more. Is it because I think it's better? No, it's because I'm better at it and I have more fun doing it. And yeah, occasionally I'll put on a gi and I'm like, oh, I'm kind of good at collar sleeve. That's cool. But I'm not gonna. But when I see like Keenan and like the game I remember I was training with Kaio, and I'm so used to no-gi, and Kaio does this thing when he gets you in single leg X that he also will like roll up the bottom of your fucking pants sleeve. And I was just like, well, this is fucking garbage. This is why did I think it was horrible? Because I couldn't move my leg and I was like, I don't know what to do to get out of this. So it's like, I can see gi and appreciate it just like you can see no gi and appreciate it. But it's like, guys, why does everything need to be this dramatic? It's fucking jiu-jitsu. Why does it have to be this weird drama click, mean girl, alpha shit where it's like, I just like this thing more and you like that thing more, and maybe we can show each other the things of the things we like and not turn into like warring factions where we're all mad that some tiny girl got a black belt. Yeah, we're like, burn her, she's a witch, she's an Eddie. Like, it's fucking insane.
Dude, let her be happy.
Jamie, without the drama, where am I going to get my memes? You're gonna totally fuck my market up here. I need people angry at shit. That doesn't matter.
That is true.
Well, if people don't talk shit, I mean, some people kind of depend on talking shit to have social interaction. You know, like I need food, and some people need online shit talking. I'm assuming, maybe, yeah. Like maybe it's just like an impulse, like, oh, that displeases me. I need to have an opinion about it. You're gonna know about it. Everybody needs to know about it, right?
Dude, I used to do that too. I think part of it is like fear of missing out too, where there's like, well, everybody's commenting on it. So certainly I have to comment on it with my uneducated opinion. Like I used to do that shit all the time. And it's like, or you can just like sit back and listen to people who know about it and then like go do your own thing. And it's like, oh.
The amount of shit that people can be miserable or just be haters on is incredible. Like I was having this conversation with my boyfriend like a couple months ago about, I saw some really, really cute, like feel good post about this mom who makes these really like cute, intricate little like bento style like lunches, like Japanese style like bento lunches, like cool. You know, back them up, right? Every morning. And she's like, all right, and she like shows the whole process, and they're so cute, right? Like little tiny grapes here, a little, you know, like it's balanced, it's cute, right? And she does it for all three of her kids. And she's like a working mom too. I think she's like a nurse or something other, and this is like her thing that she likes doing. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so cute. Like, man, that's so creative and awesome. And then you look through the comments and it's literally like, somebody doesn't have time to do anything better, or like someone needs to find a better hobby, or like who feeds their children bacon, or like just people finding like reasons to hate on what this mom was doing. I'm like, oh my God, like I didn't think it was possible. And it's like,
I know.
How?
And with I mean, to bring it back, where it's like with women, it's so crazy. So I'm doing this cartoon with Danny, who I've talked about on the show, and the comparison to comments that I get when I post this cartoon, and granted, like I've curated like a pretty cool niche audience, to her, who has a much bigger following, a lot of guys, where literally we'll have cursing in the cartoon and people will be like, well, should a little lady be cursing? And I have to jump on where she's like, can you fucking say something so I don't seem like a bitch? And I have to jump on and be like, we let women speak freely here. Like, just insane. Or people, my new favorite thing to do is whenever someone will post, when we post a podcast clip of me and her, and someone will just post, you're beautiful, I'll just immediately write, thank you so much. But then there was another one that was really similar to that. Oh, this was insane. Where she posted the cartoon last week. And yeah, like some guy was like, someone needs a boyfriend. Oh, that's what it was. It was the one, by the way, yeah, it was that, but it was under the one that I wrote. Like I write them. About, I don't let a fucking woman write my goddamn cartoons. She draws them like the subservient monster she is. But it was the one about like her being cool with being alone and not needing a partner and living a life of adventure. And yeah, some guy was like, ooh, someone must have hurt you. And I had to be like, hello, my name is Jamie. I have a dick. I wrote that. It was about me. And then I just like unloaded on the guy. But it's little shit like that I think a guy thinks if he's not calling a woman like a bitch, it's not sexism. But it's these like little ingrained where it's like no one's ever commented on one of my videos like someone's having PMS, like someone having a bad day. Oh, did you just get through a breakup? It's like, no, I'm this like fucking weird eccentric psychopath, and that's like cool for a guy. I mean, sometimes not really cool, but like people are like, are you okay a lot? But when a woman is like a little more filthy, or I mean, my ex who I used to host my old podcast with all the time, where you need to curse so much, you know, when she would write, when she and that's something that I've never ever dealt with, unless like some fucking evangelical Christian found my page by protest or mistake.
Yeah, like this is what people don't understand. It's like, just because I use a curse word doesn't mean I'm being rude. It's because you're not using a curse word does not mean you're not being rude.
That's a great point.
Like,
that's a really great point.
If you take away, like, even if you were to take away essentially, like, right, like, so essentially sometimes cussing is just like adding emphasis to. It's like, I'm not cussing at you, I'm adding emphasis to. That's just part of my vernacular. I spit a little bit there, sorry, because I'm a filthy human being.
I was gonna say, now that is very unladylike.
You should be very offended, offended. I'm gonna go jump off a cliff now. I'm gonna simply for myself, right? Dishonor on my cow and my family. But like people don't realize, it's like, man, like you can also be equally very rude, very condescending, and very disrespectful without uttering a single cuss word. And like
they're called the English.
Yeah, and it's like just by pointing out, it's like, oh, now your point is invalid because you said a curse word. It's like, wow, you really are just choosing to only hear what you want to hear, and it's like that's just your confirmation bias there or whatever. Like, it's so insane. Sorry, I stopped listening because you dropped an F-bomb, and it's like I'm talking about like something really serious. Like we're talking about rape, we're talking about child trafficking, whatever. You know, like don't be an asshole. Like, oh my God, I can't believe you said asshole. I'm like, well.
That's the craziest thing where it's like, that's what we're going to be outraged about. All right. Yeah. I'm going to ask you guys 3 quick, non-serious, whenever I'm doing stand-up, if I have like a super offensive joke, I don't know if it's going to work. I'll always do like 3 dick jokes, win them back, and then hit them with like the like transgender bathroom stuff after. So I'm gonna do the same thing.
It's a classic move. Everybody knows that move.
Yeah. The old 3 dicks in a bathroom. I have one more sexism question, but first let's just do like 3 fucking easy ones that I got. These 2 I think we can just all do almost like lightning round, so I'm just gonna say them together. Nice. Then I have a comp question, and then we'll just do one more on the old oppressed women front. Okay, let's answer this poor guy because he did not mean to be the example of the patriarchy like I made him. What do you do for joint pain? And then also, that guy really got like the shit end of this.
He's like, I just wanted to know. My knees really hurt, man.
Yeah. He was like, whatever, sexist. You don't want women.
Why don't you care about women?
What, you want Kristina to get back in the kitchen? You fucking piece of shit.
My joints matter too.
All joints matter.
All joints matter.
Start the hashtag.
Oh my God.
Okay, so joints, and then favorite takedown. Somebody wanted to know, so we'll all do that.
All right, why don't you start, Kristina?
Definitely a good amount of stretching and a lot of like just good supplementation. Or if you're not doing supplementation, then like just a healthy diet. Like it may seem like I eat like a trash panda, but I'm like a gourmet trash panda. So like I like eating well, and eating well doesn't necessarily mean eating junk. So drinking lots of water, collagen, glucosamine, all the good stuff like fish oils, stuff that's good for your skin, good for your body, and also if you can do a lot of like I don't know kind of exercises you can call them, but they help with like stability of your joints, right? So like kind of like engaging the muscles. I had to do a lot of that when I had my knee surgery for my ACL, MCL, LCL, or no, PCL thing going on over there. So wherever you can strengthen the muscles that are around the joints, definitely do those, because that definitely it's a little time consuming and seems a little tedious, but that has definitely saved me the most and given me the most strength back into my joints, which are super like loose and like
I noticed the way when you roll, you're just like Gumby. I'm like, ha ha ha.
Yeah. Like I can't control it. I'm hyper mobile, so like all my stuff goes backwards.
Yeah.
And they go weird ways. Yeah. Hey. Like my toes go all the way back. Like they fold all the way back. Yeah. Like it touches. Yeah. So yeah, it's gross.
Both you
my
fucking
body does disgusting
assholes
things.
with
So
your flexibility and metabolism. I'm just here like old man stuck on the floor right now.
More bread.
Yeah. So if you're doing stuff passive like diet, that's cool. But if you want to be more proactive about it, definitely do like the muscles, like doing a lot of like activation of the muscle supporting.
That was the perfect answer. I got a real short one. Joint Warfare by Origin. OriginMain.com. Use promo code RearNaked for 10% off.
Oh my God, yes. I didn't know how we were going to get our ad in. Kristina, usually our ads are like very long and offensive and they go all over the place. And but we have a co-host. We have so much stuff we want to get to. So again, guys, go to Origin Main. They finally sent me my stuff. It's so good. I made a big commercial for them. They loved it. They all shared it. Their whole team is following me, and now we're gonna see all my insane fucking liberal views. So that's scary. They're like
promotion YNM CBD. I also take CBD.
Ooh,
okay. It's not really for joints, but it's more for like inflammation and muscles, and you just feel good. So yeah, YNM, you and me. Right there. That's my selfless promotion there. Okay.
Well,
all right. Yay.
I'm gonna have to. I'm unfortunately gonna have to cancel that one out because I have a CBD sponsor.
My CBD is better than your CBD.
Fightbackcbd.com. Use promo code FUCKUP for 15% off. She didn't have a promo code. I do. My guy cares about mental health.
And my CBD matters.
All CBD matters. All CBD, all joints. My joint. So guys, if you want to support the podcast, if you want to support a fucking awesome company, I've actually been talking to Brian and Pete on like Instagram more from Origin.
Because you got verified now. They wouldn't talk to you before.
That's true. That's why they finally sent me my fucking protein powder. They're like, all right, he's fine. They're so fucking cool. They just upgraded their masks. Like they're doing a bunch of more stuff to get masks out to people. And by supporting them, they keep paying us, which is the only way we can do a show. They are our sole sponsor. So go to originmain.com and use promo code RearNaked. You'll get 10% off. They also have American-made gis. Fucking best in the business. Go support them. My only joint advice is don't be old. That's all I have.
Cool.
Don't get old. Stop getting it. It's not. I do not recommend it. I don't.
Recommend.
Okay. You haven't gotten old. You got no input on this.
Shut up.
On the inside, I feel like I'm 70. On the outside, I still look 21.
Yeah, on the inside, we're all fucking just like super sad and old and like have seen too much.
What's the movie where the guy ages backwards? You're like the female version.
The The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
I'm gonna start the takedown thing because I want to start some shit.
There we go.
So my favorite is body lock takedown. With a little bit of that like Muay Thai knee tap. Yeah, with the head.
A little bit of that motorboating action too.
Oh, that. Oh, actually, I have a story about this. So the first time I did a Muay Thai smoker, and you guys know Phil Nurse.
Yep.
He was GSP's Muay Thai coach. Little ball.
He's Canadian. I understand.
Well, Phil. GSP
Canadians know each other. Is that like
he lives in Canada, so it's close.
But Phil, so he was my Muay Thai coach in New York, and he reffed my first like smoker fight. And the first thing I did in my first fight was throw a head kick and fall on the ground. Just missed it, immediately fall on the ground.
That's a great takedown.
So in my head, and this guy was just like fucking ripped, way younger than me. And I go, okay, I have to make him hit the ground. Like as I was getting up, or else I'm like, I have given up all psychological, whatever. And there is a version of the body lock takedown that is Muay Thai, but you don't lift their feet up. It's just a knee tap and you kind of bend their body. If you lift, that is now a throw. And I go in and I just fucking launch this kid. And Phil Nurse and his little African voice goes, this is not MMA, but he didn't reflect anything. He just laughed. He went, so that's my favorite. That and the double leg. Here's my controversial take. I fucking hate judo. And I do the Vinny thing with leg locks, which obviously ended terribly with him, where I will just tell people, I go, judo doesn't work on me. And I've had high-level black belts like come at me hard, and I just, through sheer will and stupidity, fucking refuse. Don't like judo. And again, I can admit it's because I'm fucking terrible at it. I have weak ass little fingers. My grips suck. I hate the fucking gi. I'm scared to fucking pick people up. I'm like, I love wrestling.
Are you scared of being thrown?
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Fly in judo.
Yeah, don't love it. Don't love it at all.
Little guy like you be like, woo.
I'm still afraid I could never dive into a pool. Oh, and my first martial art when I was a kid was Aikido, and when we do the forward rolls, I've just had this like fear that I'm gonna break my own neck. So I'll like go to dive into a pool and it'll be like, he's doing it. And it'll be like, no. And I'll throw myself into a belly flop. So I've never dove underwater.
You really do need Kristina's shirt that says vulnerability.
I don't need it. But
just embrace it. Embrace the vulnerability.
Her shirt.
Just tuck your head and just tuck your head in.
I actually do want to. I want to buy that shirt. You got to tell me who your friend is that does it. It says vulnerability is dope. So that's my shit talk on judo. And then what are your guys' favorite? Also, every time someone tries to do like a shitty drop sayonagi to me, I literally just leap on their back and choke them.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I know if a high-level black belt hit me with it, I would get massacred, blah, blah, blah. But when you just have a bunch of shitty purple belts try to do it to you, I'm like, and they're slowly going down, I'm like, I'm going to leap on your back and choke you.
Do you whisper judo doesn't work as you choke them?
I'm going to now.
Power move.
Yeah.
Okay. 100%. My favorite takedown isn't legal anymore and hasn't been since I was a blue belt.
Best intro. That was the best fucking intro.
Kenny Busami.
Scissor people.
That's the one.
Yep.
I've never had somebody actually reciprocate while I did it, but yes, Kenny Busami, flying scissor takedown.
Oh my God! Can you imagine a double scissor takedown at the same time, just in the air? Just like,
that's some Matrix shit. Yeah, exactly. But it is like one of the best highlight reel takedowns that works like maybe 50% of the time. But like, tell me you didn't love Gary Tonin hitting that on Najimy into a heel hook. Like,
good. It was so good.
It's going to be in his highlight reel for forever. And everybody hits a double leg and we're like, well, he took him down, you know? So I'm there for the likes. I'm there for the comments.
Although, dude, you watch like, whenever I go to like watch like wrestling, like you watch like a Jordan Burroughs double leg highlight. I mean, that's something that I'm not great at with wrestling, that I've become much more defensive when it comes to wrestling, because I have a really good guillotine choke, and I'm just confident standing up. But something I would love to get better at, maybe when the gym's open, this will be like a thing, is when you watch a sick wrestler who has like incredible reshots, where you just watch someone like they miss a double and then like they just keep like double, like switch the angle. The guy stands up, like that to me is so fucking impressive. Like the grit of wrestling, I really like. Not standing tall like a fucking dumb judo asshole. Okay, Kristina, what's your favorite takedown?
I like judo. But here's the thing, though. I like judo for judo. I don't like judo for using in jiu-jitsu. I mean, like, obviously,
why?
it's... Well,
hot take.
I'm actually a green belt in judo. I wish I could have continued more. Like, I got injured with my arm and then my knee, like somewhere around the time I got my black belt. So it's like I had to prioritize jiu-jitsu over judo. But I still study when I can. And if I could, I would definitely go back to learning judo. But just for judo.
Did you get injured doing judo?
No, I got injured doing jiu-jitsu.
I was gonna be really mean and a bad friend and throw it in your face for doing judo.
No. But I absolutely love judo as an art form. Obviously I'm a fucking dirty guard puller, so I want the guard pull. So like I sit like a freaking crab and grab the gi and I sit my ass down, So but I love judo. And I'm, again, like, we're on the opposite end. We're like, I don't even say I hate wrestling, because I don't hate wrestling, but I don't enjoy it as much just because I always get hurt whenever it comes to wrestling. Like, it doesn't feel good having someone sprawl on your neck or your face, or like the one time I decided I'm gonna go shoot for a double leg, and then the person's like, I'm gonna pull guard, and then you hit eat a knee to your eye.
God. You don't need to pick up ears like Jamie, so you're all right.
No, yeah. Somehow I've survived with no cauliflower.
Dude, by the way, I thought I had
Benjamin Button ears.
I thought I had lame little hipster cauliflower ear, and I was doing press for my shows in Minneapolis, and the guy was like, "Did you grow your hair out to cover your ears?" And I was like, "No." Should I have? Like, he essentially was like, "Yeah, you grew your hair out because you're gross."
I'm not saying it's ugly, but it's definitely pretty ugly.
I literally just thought I had,
should be hidden,
because my brothers have like Randy Couture. My brother has like Randy Couture ears, like straight up, like inside out. Like, so mine, I literally just thought only people who do jiu-jitsu. That's why I call them hipster, because like if you do jiu-jitsu, you're like, oh, word. But no like random like girl I talked to has been like, what's the matter with you? But I think that's just, I'm slowly realizing they're being polite, and my ears are worse than I thought they were. Okay, so
back to the favorite takedown. I love Tai Otoshi because it's great, because it's low risk, high reward, very easy to recover from. Regardless of, like, if I fail, then it's really easy to recover too, and it's really easy to put in combinations with other things like foot sweeps, like Kochigari and Ochigari. The Ashibarai too. Like, I love foot sweeps. Foot sweeps are great. Why?
I'm checking my
because you
Instagram,
feel
you
like an absolute asshole if it gets caught on you. Like, I swear to God, like, if you want to feel like, God fucking damn it, I got fucking foot swept. It's the best highlight, I swear to God, because it looks like you do nothing and a person just flies. And there's so much air time between the guy like being foot swept and then when they're in the air and when they actually hit the mat, that the entire time is just like, mother.
Was it fucking Sabit in UFC?
Who's been hits him all the time. Yeah.
I gotta say, you're 100% right. Where like, especially in like
Seth
MMA,
Daniels too.
Oh, his what's he call it? The Rick James.
Yeah.
He calls it the Rick James because it's like you slap him
like claps him up top and sweeps him down bottom.
Yeah,
and it's downright straight into a sitting armbar, and it was like, that poor guy who is on the highlight reel should hide his face.
All right, well, you guys, now you made me want to fucking watch judo. Okay,
foot sweeps, bitch.
We are already went a half an hour longer than we're going to, because this is so fun.
You're welcome, people.
Yeah, let's just go into these two questions. Okay, so actually no, let's go into the sexism question, then we'll end with the competition question.
Palate cleanser.
See, you're on it with the set list thing. You can't close sad. You have to close making fun of Gracie Baja, which is what I'm going to do. So, okay. The sexism question. And just like before, guys, I'm playing the role of the dumb guy. I don't want this to get turned around into weird Jamie doesn't know how to talk to women and is asking all these dumb questions. I'm
We are
helping.
role playing, you guys. We're
We're
role playing.
I'm helping the cause. Okay.
What
so
is the best way to sorry, go ahead.
Is it
Okay. So I see a hot chick and it makes my wiener feel weird. Okay. So here are my questions. So I was actually talking to a jiu-jitsu girl earlier, not even about the podcast. Didn't even think we were going to podcast. And she was talking to me about guys, lower rank, like mansplaining stuff to her. And then when I asked for questions, I had another woman write in and say that she's had white belts to the point literally say to her,
oh honey,
why are we saying why are we shrimping? This would never work. Shrimp, the most fundamental jiu-jitsu move.
Hilarious.
Would
you believe me if I told you that I still get mansplained by lower belts to this day?
I can't wait for these stories.
Okay, so
yeah,
I want to hear these stories. Now, look, I'm gonna be the asshole first because I want any guy, good guy, fathers, who is saying this in their head, and there is a legitimate conversation to be had here. I just want to get this out of the way so that then we can tell the stories about the mansplaining. We can shut people up, make fun of them, blah, blah, blah. I have an agenda, people. I think the term mansplaining, I have seen it used ridiculously, to the point where it almost seems sexist, to the point where it's like, wait, so anytime a guy disagrees with a girl, like, I need to be clear, it's not disagreeing with a woman. That's not what mansplaining is. But I have seen some shittier women when they're just in an argument be like, you're mansplaining, when the guy was like, I was just defending myself, and he wasn't being patronizing. He was having the conversation the same way he would with a dude, right? Me and you arguing about judo, I'm not mansplaining that judo's shitty to you, right? We just disagree.
And it was 2-1. We know that you're wrong, so.
I know. And actually,
you love what you love. I love what I love. You know,
it was actually 3-1.
You're wrong. It's cool, you know.
It was 3-1 because Drew counts twice as a man. I wanted to make a 70%, but I always forget the number of pay. Whatever. So the first thing for anyone who's like some of this, do you think some of this could? What is the difference? Here we go. What? Because I'm like, I can't even play the devil's advocate. What is the difference between a guy mansplaining to a woman and just a guy being an idiot, right? Like a guy just being like, oh, I don't know if hip escapes work, or, you know, like I've had guys ask me stupid questions when I was coaching, but there is a difference between what women seem to get much more constantly, especially at a higher level, right? Like, Kristina, I'm a brown belt. If me and you were rolling, I may be like, oh, I learned this differently. You know, what's the difference between me and you sharing techniques? Right? Like, I think some guys who get defensive think that, oh, so I can't disagree with a woman, or I can't show her, or I can't ask her a question. Can you talk about, like, I guess fucking break it down for us. That's what I'm saying.
It's really about word choice and how you talk to a person. Right. Like, if I say, like, hey, so during this technique, you have to put your grip here, your foot here, angle this way. Like, there's a purpose, right? I'm going to explain it down. And
they're like, well, sweetie.
And if you go, it's like, oh, I just don't think that's going to work. Right? I'm just going to like, what? Excuse me? But if you said, like, well, could you explain the function of this? Like, why, like, can you break down the difference between why I want to put my hand here as opposed to here? Like, there's skepticism and there's clarification of something, like, validated. Because I understand, like, especially if you're new, you're like, everything seems like freaking voodoo black magic. You're like, I don't understand how that works. You know, why can't I just, you know, and right. And so typically what I do is, like, and I do this in class because you do get, like, the people who are like, who genuinely don't understand. And you also get some of the dum-dums who are just like, well, I was just going to bench press out of there, you know?
Yeah.
And then I'll have them like, okay, get into the position with this person, right? So someone closer to their size, right? Or like, okay, now do it the way that you want to do it, that you're talking. Okay, now try to do it the way I'm telling you to do it. Do you see the difference? And then usually there's like that like little light bulb that's like, oh, okay. So I feel like obviously it's like, it's on two parts, right? I'm not going to immediately assume that every man who disagrees or questions what I'm saying is trying to mansplain or talk over me, because I also don't want to cast out a potential ally or a potential student, right? Some people are genuinely just clueless. They don't know any better. And they are just asking like a pure question. Just the delivery was really, really bad, right?
They're like, Kristina, I'm too clueless and scared to be sexist. I just don't know what's happening.
Right. But if it's like a consistent like pattern, now this is when we start having a problem, right? So typically, like, usually after I give an explanation once, I see either they can choose to do it or not to do it, right? And then sometimes obviously it can't happen that easily. Sometimes they're just having a hard time making what they want to do in their brain and what they want their body to actually do are two different things. I understand that. And there's usually that kind of communication. So guys, don't think that we're trying to be superior over you, but like if there is a rank involved, please take in consideration. Don't think there's black magic voodoo, especially if you're gonna do exactly what she said, but only when a guy tells you to do it. Like that's when it gets like, dude, he just said the same thing and he's a lower belt, and like,
yeah, when your like blue belt training partner says it to you and you're like, now I get it.
Yeah, like that's the part where it's like, oh, it's a little disrespectful. You're only listening to the guy that's like, I outrank that guy too, and I literally just said the same thing. But at the same time, we also can't get to the point where everybody's a sexist, everybody's a patriarchy, right? Yes. Because there definitely are allies.
Well,
right?
Drew, what do you see as, so you run a school, have you seen like, what's the difference between like, like the way a dum-dum or
people,
the way some,
oh honey me?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. My
Drew
favorite, like Kristina hit it bang on the head. My favorite thing to do when somebody says that won't work is just to do it to them. Like, be like, come here for a second.
I do the same thing.
Yeah,
I know.
And I'm much meaner than she sounds. I maliciously want to make it bad for them. I want them to like, not only will it work on them, I'm gonna make it like hilariously work on them. Like everybody around is like, ooh.
I've tapped out a purple belt in side control in front of the class.
Yeah,
just because it was like you couldn't do it. I was like,
exactly. So I mean, that's the greatest thing about jiu-jitsu, period, is that it's a show me art. So I'll just show you. Like if I know it works and you're like, that's not gonna work, well, buddy, please come here for a second. Yeah. Those guys, and to be fair, like she was saying, some people just have terrible delivery in the way that they say it, and they're not articulate. And I really love both types of student as long as the question is honest. You know,
I got, this is from one of the women who wrote in when she teaches. This is a great example. So this is very clearly not someone who doesn't understand. Kristina, I want your response to this. She goes, my favorite is when I teach male students with less experience and they just try to add on to what I'm saying or otherwise inject themselves. Like that's to the point where it's like, you're not gonna do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's the ultimate like rage. You know, like how the people like, can I add one more thing? And I'm like,
you're like, yeah, because the entire class was wondering what the two-stripe blue belt thought of like what the nuances he would like to add to this move.
Like it's one thing like if you ask like after the technique is taught, right, and then afterwards you ask for clarification, you know, like in private, that's one thing. That's totally cool, right? Like if you have a question or if you feel like something was missing or whatever, right? Like I feel like that's okay. But the moment that you start doing it in front of the entire class, this is where it becomes problematic because it essentially challenges validity of the instructor, right? Or the authority. What they actually know, the authority, right? So it's like, man, like there's definitely a better way to handle that, and it's like
strangle that motherfucker right there, right now.
Oh my god! Well, and like guys, like guys are so fucking, it's so interesting. And this is why I like that vulnerability shirt. The amount of DMs I've gotten now that I have like a bigger jiu-jitsu audience from guys who are like, dude, thanks for saying you like cried at that thing. Like I did the whole, we talked about this on my podcast today. Like I've been shocked, or guys who are like, wow, you can just like say you like the new Taylor Swift album. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, of course, where I think there are, like, guys can be fucking fragile. And I think that if they get called out for fucking up, instead of being like, oh yeah, maybe that was stupid, there is part of us, myself included, that wants to double down and just be like, well, she's just fucking overreacting, or I'm not. So there's a chance that there are guys who have done this who absolutely would not consider themselves sexist. Maybe they've given money to Planned Parenthood to fund an abortion they had in high school. I don't know. But I would just say, for anything we've talked about, when we talked about Black Lives Matter, when we talked about, it's like, you can like change. You don't have to double down on a shitty behavior. Just like in jiu-jitsu, if you have a bad habit, you're not going to be like, well, I'm going to fucking do this for goddamn ever. You're going to be like, oh, I want to change. So like, a lot of this shit is really deep-seated. You know, I bet that there are guys who did that to you, Kristina, that if you were like, homie, that was a little sexist, they would legitimately be horrified. But they'd be like, oh, I didn't know. And then you have to be like, have you ever done that to a guy coach? And then it's on the guy to just have some fucking reflection and be like, oh, I haven't done that to a guy coach. Why is that? Is it because I'm a bad person? Or is it because, oh, maybe I'm not used to women in roles of authority? Maybe like that makes me feel weird for some reason. Maybe I need to fucking examine why that makes me feel weird. And then all you have to do is not do it. I think the biggest problem we've seen with these talks that have happened around sexism and around racism in jiu-jitsu, these should be very easy conversations to have. It's that people are so, you know, social media just tells you can't be wrong. You can't give an inch. You can't have a conversation. So people just double down and then they look like fucking lunatics.
Yeah, there's definitely like a lot of sense of entitlement to like I can say what I want to say and it's always going to be right. And it's not even like you can have your opinion, I can have my opinion. It's just like, no, like I am entitled to be able to say whatever the hell I want with zero consequences. And it's like, it's not how it works. Right. It's not how it works, you know? And yeah, so I definitely have had people who like, in hindsight, they'll like apologize later on, but it's like years down the line, or maybe an apology never happens. But
it's like they're making like, their AA amends and like going back decades.
But it's just like, dude, like that was really shitty. Like, like you know, or even calling it out immediately. Like, no, I wouldn't have done that. I'm like, bullshit. You wouldn't. You wouldn't have. You would said the same thing to like. You know, like another guy who like maybe they outrank me or maybe they're bigger than me, you know, like but because like you idolize that person and you don't idolize me or whatever it is, it's just kind of like, come on, don't be a dick, don't be that guy, don't be
a dick, everybody. All right, last
I was gonna say,
fuck out of here.
Speaking of entitlement, let's talk about Gracie Barra.
Yay. Oh damn. Damn. That was heavy. All right, then we all have to go to sleep, you guys. All right, last question. So this one, I actually wrote to them for more details. So the original question was, they're at a Gracie Barra. They want to leave for more of like a traditional Gracie University type. Because they said Gracie Barra is too focused on comp. For all of my problems I have with Gracie Barra, my assumption is that some Gracie Barras are, some aren't. It's very different. So I wrote this person back for kind of clarification where I said, what do you not like about the comp focus? So I can answer better. And then they wrote, I got into BJJ mainly to learn self-defense and less sport-oriented side of it. Just wondering if there's a big difference. ... And I saw a lot of shit talking on Gracie Barra being a cult. I wonder why that is. So I actually
it was my memes
and my video. You remember that?
I do.
That video got really big.
Yeah.
So I actually don't think this has to really do with Gracie Barra. My answer, I think this kind of comes back to the old fucking street sport debate. You know, I don't think all Gracie Bajas are crazy competition. And I'll just give my answer because I'm getting so fucking rambly. Because I've had to do, I call it the progressive disclaimer, Kristina, where whenever
exactly
it is, right? Whenever you're asking a question about like sexism or race, you have
cover
to
all your bases with all your shields. Now I can talk.
All of your, I mean, and every gender and whatever you identify as, and
all
like
joints matter.
yeah, this is about sexism, but like Black lives still matter, and like okay. So I was just in a liberal bubble for a very long time. My thought on this: sport versus street defense in general. There are absolutely some competition proven like berimbolo, you know, techniques that maybe are not the most self-defense applicable. If your school is specifically like teaching, you know, here's how we stall out for points in the last 10 seconds, shit like that. Okay, now we're getting away from self-defense. However, I take the Ryan Hall approach where he's talked about this before, where if I'm training to compete against the best athletes in the world, right, your street self-defense isn't going to do shit. If I'm boxing for sport and I'm training against pro boxers, my jab is going to hit you. You know what I mean? Like, even if you can grab my balls, I still have leverage and can break your fucking arm. Even
Plus, they got to use both hands, which are then, you know, they have nothing to
exactly.
defend themselves with.
Just fucking, that was so great. We're such a good team, you guys. The three of us.
Holding a hot dog, right? You hold it.
That's what it is. Stop talking about food.
So flattering still. I love it.
You guys, we're bringing it like all back around.
Yeah.
We are a good unit.
I see what you did there.
So that actually was an accident. So I think that training for competition doesn't mean self-defense. I would so much rather somebody train at a Gracie Baja where they're getting actual rolls in, fighting against someone who is fighting back, than Krav Maga or something that claims to be practical self-defense, but they never spar it, right? It just looks really cool and it gives you this sort of false sense of security. I also like, but if you're at a school that's teaching, you know, only 50-50 and you don't know how to get out of side control, or you don't know how to hold someone in closed guard, like, as much shit as Henner and Huron get, a lot of their Gracie University shit is actually really good. A lot of those fundamentals, like, I still use a lot of those fundamentals.
And the quick flip hoodie is the shit.
Dude,
that looks so impressive. I always watch those commercials. I'm just like, man, he can literally sell anything.
They're mesmerizing.
Yeah, I know.
So charismatic, like, man.
Huron's family is beautiful. So I do think there's a lot to it. That's just, I'll let you guys give your take. That's just my like sport versus street preface in general. Competition does not mean not self-defense applicable. And in fact, if you are training against competitors, there's a great chance you're going to be able to fuck up. I mean, Tim Kennedy said it the other week, right? Like 99% of people. So yeah, that's just my initial read.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is this the lightning round? Yeah.
No,
right, I'll throw a quick one in
there.
there.
Yeah,
okay.
You go in.
Okay, so first of all, don't use jiu-jitsu on the street because it doesn't work. I've covered this in many, many memes. I don't understand how many times I have to say it. They all have guns and syringes and glass, and nothing that we do is actually works off of the mats. Now that that's been said, I want to actually also quote Ryan Hall. I was worried you were going to take my quote from me, but you didn't.
My quote.
I was so
Great precious.
Christina slowly throwing away all for Ryan Hall quotes that she was going to say.
Like I have a bag full of them, like, oh, can't use that one or that one. Thanks, guys. Fucking patriarchy.
By the way,
now before she starts it,
if you guys hung out with Ryan as many times as I have, you would know that most quotes we actually couldn't even say.
Couldn't say. Yes, this is what I hear. All right, this one is actually it's safe for children.
Great.
He said, and I quote this constantly because it's so succinct and so obvious, is if you can't understand that situation dictates tactics, you can't be helped. So if you're going to try to berimbolo somebody in a bar fight, you're an idiot. Like you actually have to use nobody is going to go to the nth degree of technique for jiu-jitsu if they just have to take a drunk down who's trying to swing wide at them. You know what I mean?
If they pulled it off. You were the one talking about highlights and clicks, man.
Man, like that's like world star. People like, what the fuck? There's back spinning. She's breakdancing.
Yes.
What the fuck? Oh shit!
Do it.
Yeah, there is part of me that if I'm like easily fucking someone up in a bar fight and I see a phone come out, I'm like, I'm gonna try something dope. Like I'm gonna.
You're gonna like say your Instagram handle real slow so people can pick it up at Jamie Kilstein.
Oh, can I just want to say one more thing. Jamie Kilstein quote. One more thing too. If you are, and I don't know this person, I don't know their rank. They have a little. There's not even them in their profile picture, so I know nothing about this person. If by competition school, it's hard, stay there. If you want to leave because it's like there's too much cardio, you're doing speed passing drills, the rounds are too hard, you want to be somewhere that pushes you and challenges you. If you're constantly getting injured because people are being fucking maniacs because they're treating every role like it's worlds and you're a white belt, then you just have a shitty gym. That's not even necessarily a comp. You know what I mean? And again, Kristina, I think you have the most comp experience with all of us. So, but that's kind of like, that's just another thought. Like there are times, I remember even, it was a while since I was at Marcelo's and I was just at like an LA gym that wasn't training that hard. And I drove down to train at the Mendez brothers.
Oof.
And suddenly I was just like having like blue belts where I'm like, this is a fucking nightmare. And there was part of me in my brain that was like, well, never coming back here. And then I had to go, oh, it's because I got beat up.
Yeah.
And that means that like I need to do that more. Like I need to train with more comp people.
The one time I went to AOJ as a purple belt, and I was a purple belt for like 3 years at this point. I was like, oh, I'm pretty close to my brown. I'm going to go in there and I'm rolling with a white belt. And we had a 50-50 battle for 5 minutes. I was like, what the fuck are they breeding here?
Dude, I bet you the blue belt I'm thinking of was that guy.
Probably.
I just went there like a year later. It was a fuck, because I did a private with Hoffa too.
Yeah.
And you know, when me and him rolled, he's not being Hoffa. So I like briefly thought I was like, oh, there were a couple times I could have caught my little guillotine, whatever. And then I stayed for the fucking gi class, and every blue belt like a fucking factory like worker, where it was just the same De La Riva, and I'm just like, I see the Barambola coming. Like there it goes, it's coming. And then some fucking like 17-year-old blue belt is almost like bow and arrowing me to death. And same deal. I was like a purple belt, thought I was about to get my brown, and I was just like, well, fucking, this sucks. This is horrible.
Drowning in the ocean of your tears.
Yeah, dude. And it's like, well, oh, that's our other sponsor, by the way. Ocean of Tears CBD, everybody. Cure your sadness with Ocean of Tears CBD.
Tears of thine enemies. Here's everything.
Okay, so that was I just wanted to say, like, if it's fucking hard training, good, you will get up to the level of those competitors, and that will be incredible for you. Because, you know, again, like Kennedy talked about this on the show the other day, so much of self-defense is like being in fucking good shape, being aware of our body. You know, not you don't want to go to a place where you're just coasting and you're not being physically and mentally challenged, as well as
find a coach who eats a lot of candy. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was trying to finish your sentence.
Shit worked for me.
You guys are
literally within like my first month of learning under Kyle, like I literally only see him eating Skittles and
yeah, it's like no, Kristina, you gotta eat 5 more Kit Kats.
No.
And people would bring him candy as kids.
Like, well, you know, you gotta think like he was like new to the U.S., so it's like I don't think he like knew what to eat, and like everything is so much different in Brazil than it is here. Like
they don't just eat candy in Brazil, Kristina. You don't have to excuse this for Kyle. He had a problem.
That's okay.
I hope he's better. Also, please tell Kyle I say hi. He's one of my favorite people.
Yeah, dude. Like he does really well. Like over at HQ, like we have a really, really good balance. Like we have our hardcore competition team, which is like Obviously, it's invite only. You can't just go to competition class. You have to make sure that Professor, like Kyle says, like, yeah, you can go. It's blue belt and up. With I don't think he's ever really made exceptions for white belts, unless they were traveling from another country, and they had made like they have like a prior camp, or they have a camp that is included with the comp class, or
If
but they
as long as they came from a country that only ate candy, like
Brazil.
Switzerland. Oh, you brought me chocolate. Well, anytime anybody comes from another country, they always bring candy for Kai. It's like they're offering, like, oh, like the Koreans, like they bring a suitcase full of like just candies. Like it doesn't matter what country, Portugal, Spain, Brazil, Switzerland, like they come from another country, there's candy involved, there's something involved. Like
this is why
there's an offering.
This is why Andy Dick can't get sober, by the way. Every time he tries to get sober, some fucking asshole wants to get wasted with Andy Dick. That's Kaio with fucking candy.
Yeah.
He doesn't actually eat as much.
Our whole society is just enabling
I mean, like
him.
he does, but like I feel like he posts a lot more of it than he actually does. So it's kind of like me. Like I actually eat healthier than what I post. Like you just see the junky stuff, but I actually eat quite well.
Gourmet junk foods, one of my favorite things you said this whole podcast. All right, so what's your take for this person?
Yeah, so I would say the ability to be able to train in a competition atmosphere is invaluable. I myself have never been in a street fight. Have I had close encounters? Yes. Or there like been moments where be like, is this a day that I'm gonna have to use jiu-jitsu on the streets? Like, and the most I've ever had to use jiu-jitsu on the streets would be like to prevent my drunk intoxicated friends from drunk driving, right? Like I'll put them in a rear naked, like they're like, I'm gonna leave, where's my keys? I'm like, you ain't going anywhere, be like, like, why are you hugging me? And then put them to sleep, and then I'm like, hey, calm down, sleep it off.
Love that it's for your drunk friends.
Yeah, but this was when I first started jiu-jitsu. I haven't had to do that.
You up-leveled your friends
in recent times, just because I don't have any drunk friends anymore. Since I don't. Well, obviously, I don't even drink. I don't hang around people who drink. But there's a lot of value with it because it's just a response time. When you get yourself used to having like that adrenaline rush, or you're forced to like, I have to think on my feet right away. Like when you are faced with that, at least even in a training or in a learning environment, you are learning to respond to a threat or to stimulus, like as it's happening in real time. So if you just focus on strictly self-defense with no actual like live action sparring and ways to apply it like realistically, then you're missing out. But if this person only has desires to just like, man, I just kind of want to learn for self-defense, maybe lose some weight, have a little bit of hobby, I don't really want the competitiveness with it, it's like, well, then maybe, and again, like you said, if you're getting hurt, if you're feeling like you're getting banged up and people are just using you for target practice, you might be at the wrong school. You might need to find some place that is going to serve your needs. And that's what it kind of sounds like with this person. Like maybe he's not looking for like the super hardcore training. Like maybe he does want to train hard, but not at that intensity every single day, all the time, every single class, right?
Yeah. Two things to mansplain onto that, which is I'm just going to repeat what you said. There's a self-defense point. Oh, well, I was going to say, you made me think it might just be the vibe of the gym. Like anytime you're thinking about, it's like a breakup, right? If you think about the breakup, like you need to investigate, or that's actually a bad example. Whenever someone's like, I wonder if I should quit drinking, the answer is usually yes, or else you wouldn't be wondering that. So like, there's no harm if there's another fucking school near you, like go check it out and see if you vibe with the people more. But again, if you're running away from challenge, because Kristina, you made me think of another self-defense thing when you were describing competition rounds. So obviously in any jiu-jitsu school you go to, there has to be live rolling. If there's not like that, I don't even like, I mean, there was a big school down here where sometimes there was no rolling or like 15 minutes and there were good competitor school and stuff. But I was like, I don't like that. I came from Marcelo's where it was like 45 minutes and then Henzo's in LA was like an hour. Like I want a lot of rolling, but there's actually something, I'll roll with black belts. I'll roll with the coaches. I'll roll with UFC fighters. But when it's competition and they're doing like match simulation, I remember Sean Williams did like a match simulation, and I like the second and third match. I was a purple belt. I went against brown belts and smoked them, only because in the first match, and I haven't had a match, I haven't competed in a while, he put me up against a really good blue belt wrestler, and my heart felt like it was beating out of my chest. There is something about, hey, people are going to watch. We're going to set a clock. Everybody clear the mat. It's you versus you.
Mm-hmm.
And in a street fight, your heart is going to be beating out of your chest. And that, more than the brown belts, that was my hardest round, because I had to overcome fucking fear, and I had to overcome ego, and my palms were sweaty. And there was a point where he was on, I swear to God, this was like, I was maybe a brown belt or a couple weeks away from getting my brown belt. I fucked up, and this blue belt is on top of me, and the class is watching, and I'm the dude who everyone's like, why the fuck doesn't this guy have his brown belt? And there's a moment where in my head, I run through a narrative. I run through, I don't deserve a brown belt. I'm a piece of shit. I can't believe this is going to happen. And then I look at the clock and there's 30 seconds left. And I'm like, well, you might as well go. And then within 30 seconds, like, I don't even know how it happened, but like submitted the shit. Like he's caught, like I got out. And then once I got out of that, everything else was just, I'm subbing everybody.
Yeah.
But that first moment of like, I want to quit, that's how you're going to feel if you're in a street fight and someone gets on top of you. You're going to have this moment where you go, I guess I fucking die, or I guess I get beat up, or I guess I just cover up and pray. And by the more you put yourself into scary situations, the more equipped you will be mentally and your body when it comes to your fight or flight reactions or whatever.
Yep.
If you are in a really scary street situation.
Yeah, like that responsiveness, it's like and that's the reason why jiu-jitsu is so great, because like other than like other like wrestling or Muay Thai, right? But compared to like a lot of other martial
judo.
arts,
just say it, or judo.
No, judo's freaking hard as shit. Oh my god. Like
keep going.
Boys can't take it. Anyways,
you start saying Japanese words to piss them off again. Oh, Sotogari.
This is my fault. I'm sorry.
Go Minasai. Yeah, like your response time to everything is just so like, it's so different, right?
Yeah.
Like even if you take like a brand new person who's competing for the first time compared to a seasoned competitor, like the responses are way different. Like everything is coming at you 100 miles per hour. When you're that brand new competitor, you're like, oh my god, do this, and like before you even know it, it's just like you're gassed, like you don't even know what happened. Your whole life flashed before your eyes, or maybe you blacked out, or you know you were lucid for a second, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I don't know what happened, right? But then as you get better and the more you're exposed to it and the more that you put yourself through that, right, then you start having like the Matrix moment, right, where everything just kind of slows down and you're like, whoa, I kind of see things as they're happening. So if you can imagine like being able to apply that same situation like on the street, right, like when I'm going to compete, I'm not thinking like, oh my god, I'm gonna fight somebody, right, like I'm gonna fight, get myself pumped up. It's not even that at all. It's just like I want to prepare myself to be able to see everything as it's happening, so I can properly assess and give the right response for the appropriate time, right? Like and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but like the more that I'm used to stressing myself in training, the more likely that when I see it, doesn't matter if it's on the mat, if it's in competition, or if it's like even on the streets, where in a lot of times like I can get out of it's probably the main reason why I've never been in street fights, because I can kind of notice when something kind of bad is about to happen, and I'm like, all right, I'm already aware, right?
Same,
and I feel like if someone already like doesn't have that mindset to recognize something bad about to happen, right? Like, and just like you still have the grips and someone's passing your guard and you're still holding on to them. Like, like, why are you still holding on? You're already past your guard. Push them away. Why are you hugging them? Right? Like, and it's the same thing. So like, I would say for this guy, like, if he feels like that school isn't the right fit for him, if he wants something that has like a broader curriculum, I think he should go. Because even I myself, whenever I teach self-defense, like classes or workshops or seminars, particularly for like women only or like women's self-defense, I always tell them, like, this will not work if you don't practice it realistically. Like,
Yes.
like learning self-defense strictly just for self-defense and without actual sparring or live training or like understanding how it works together, you will never learn to defend yourself. You're gonna know moves, but you're not gonna know how to defend yourself.
Yeah, you might as well just watch YouTube.
Yeah, like I always tell these women, like, I can't tell you in like good conscience that you're gonna be able to protect yourself now. All I can tell you is that you at least have a little bit of awareness, you know some techniques, but unless you have the willingness to like step into an actual gym and like further your enrichment, you're not going to be able to defend yourself. Because unless you actually have that stressor situation where you have to spar and you can't control the other person, like they're not just doing what you're telling them to do, or like, okay, grab my wrist, you know, like they're doing whatever they want and you have to fight out of that situation. Like, and it might give you like anxiety, or you might panic, or because like the closeness, you're going to freak out unless you understand how to deal with those emotions and those responses within your body, like the chemical responses going in your body. It's useless. The techniques are useless if you can't control your body, if you can't control the response. So
or if it's on the street.
Yeah. And to quote,
locks don't work.
Right.
Yep. And to quote Ryan Hall, Gracie Baja's a cult. I'm just kidding.
Judo doesn't work either.
Judo doesn't work. Also,
we just did 2 hours.
We did 2 hours.
This was fun.
We went an hour over. Kristina, what's that virtual? Well, what do you want to plug? So obviously, I'm sure everyone's already following you on Instagram. What is it?
KB Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, KB some Jiu-Jitsu with no I. Just kidding. KB Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, at KB Jiu-Jitsu on Instagram. Oh, you can also follow my food page, which is KB Eats, which is like a bunch of like dots and underscores.
If I follow you, will you start posting? Yeah, start posting on there.
I need to go back to do it. I know I haven't. I've been slacking because it's mainly supposed to be like food and travel, but
I know.
yeah, I mean, I have.
It was really cool.
Traveling.
I was like, oh, this is gonna be the food blog I follow, and then
oh man,
what the fuck was her last post?
Oh my god! When I was going through Asia, it was amazing. I was just like street food,
and the pictures were beautiful too.
It was amazing.
Good old iPhone.
She gave me. I am plant-based when I am home, but I got some fucking great recommends for you for Vegas, and I'm like, when I travel, I'm gonna
get fat.
Well, but I'm going to be training more
Vegas
than I'm training here.
Okay, so you'll be happy.
So it'll be
jolly when you get fat.
And that was actually what Gio Martinez wrote me when I wrote my sad I can never have a cheat meal. He's like, just train more, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? Once I start like training a lot again, I think I'll be able to. But I mean, how can I go to Momofuku and not have those fucking pork buns, right?
Oh, they're so good. They're so good.
I'm gonna have those pork buns. Do you want to plug? What's the virtual training seminar shit you're doing, or what is that?
Oh, okay. So I'm working with Free Rollers. So they are a program that's based actually out of Australia. Supposed to be having a seminar there in November. So hopefully all this COVID stuff goes on and that can still happen. There's so much uncertainty. I'm just like, I just really want to go to Australia finally and do some jiu-jitsu there and teach in Australia. I want to hit all the continents if I can.
Dude, I got some good food recommend. I used to perform a lot over in Australia. It's a fucking best.
Oh my god, it's my first time. I want to pet like koalas and koakas and do all the things. And be afraid of all the wildlife. But
if you want an uke who won't grope you, I'll go with you. The bar is low, but I'm sold.
To the highest bidder, Jamie Kilstein. All right. Yes. But yeah, so something that we started, I think the first time we did something was last month or maybe a month and a half ago. Man, it must have been 2 months. I don't have any concept of time. But essentially, the owner, his name is Luke. He was like, hey, what do you think of having like an online like mentor session? Just having like a live Q&A. Put you up on Zoom, we have you in the gym, like set you up on a TV screen and they can ask you questions and you just answer right then and there.
That's cool. Love it.
Oh, you know, that'd be really, really cool. So it's not just like a big Zoom meeting, it's just like me and they're all in a room and I get to go around in the room. And it was like more like a dry run, like a rough draft of like, hey, let's see if this is something that we can do.
I think it's really cool.
Yeah, he just has all these ideas and it's like, oh yeah, super cool. And so he's just like, oh, thanks for being my guinea pig. I'm like, hey, no problem. You know, that's what I'm here for, right?
Oh, you already did it? So I'm having you promoted too late?
No. That was like the trial run.
Oh,
that
good,
was the trial.
good.
That was the like, we don't know if this is actually going to be a thing, but like I have an idea, so let's try this.
We'll have Kristina.
So yeah, so we had one and I want to say it was like rough, but like people didn't really know what to do as far as like they didn't have questions prepared. But it was super fun because like I got to talk with some women, some guys, like different belt ranks, and of course like see what you know, do my thing as an instructor, right? As a black belt with all my knowledge and what I can offer.
And a green belt in judo.
Oh, and a green belt in judo. I need to go back. But the response was really good. It got people really excited for me to have, you know, be there for the seminar. And then he kind of thought, like, man, do you think we can actually make a program out of this? This is something that we can actually do like monthly, or how can we make this work? And so we just kind of going back and forth with each other. And he's like, all right, so like, what if like, do we have people pay per session? Like everything, like, do we just promote a single thing? Like, or do we include it with a membership? And it's like, well, so we just went back and forth with ideas, and essentially what he come up with now is having like a network of black belts that essentially we just have like a web meeting, like, so they are going to be actually in a gym at that time. So if they have like gym questions, they can ask technique questions. I'll have like an uke or something, and they literally can just pick our brains. So like it's kind of like a black belt like table, like forum that they have access to, and that comes with their free roller membership. So that's like the program, the promotion. That's and they cool. Also do like seminars around the world. So well, until like COVID thing happened, right? So they have stuff set up like in San Diego and Hawaii, Singapore, Australia, and they're trying to expand more and more and more and more. So it's like, man, anything that's dope. About like bringing people globally, you know, around the world together within jiu-jitsu, like I'm all for it, you know.
Well, I'm gonna go follow them. I really want to fucking like take one of your classes, dude. I think maybe next time I go to LA, maybe I'll just fuck it and drive even more and just double up and just go up to the
It's like a 5.5 hour drive up. Or if you just
I'm already 8 from LA, but then
yeah,
fuck it. I got to do it. I'd love to train with you guys and see Kaio and like me and you have never trained. We've never rolled. I want to take one of your. You seem like you'd be a fucking great teacher. So fuck yeah. Everybody go support all the things Kristina does. Go to fucking Origin Maine to support me and Drew. You know to follow Drew because Jitsu. I'm the Jamie Kilston on Instagram. Oh, when this airs, I taped one of my new comedy videos with Keenan at his school. We just did the final cut today. It's very funny. That'll be up. Along with hopefully a new Gorilla Monster. If you didn't see last week's, it's Nate Diaz themed. There may not be one next week. And that's it. We love you guys very much. Thanks for doing this, Kristina.
Yay.
Thanks for having me.
Silent heart.
A big heart, or we could do it the Korean way, little hearts.
Oh.
What? That's adorable.
Yeah. So in Japan, it's all about the peace sign. In Korea, it's all about the little heart.
Oh, cool.
Holy shit! Wait, hold on. Are you, guys? I know I'm so tired. Hold on. You do the thumb, just like that.
Okay, so if you have your fingers like this, pointing up,
yeah,
and then you just bring your thumbs right there, and that is a little heart. It also looks like cash money.
There we go. That's how we remember right there. I know that.
But you just like, or you pay me in love. I don't
know. Koreans
that's
are so
the little heart.
Fucking cool. That's awesome. I love it. All right. I love both of you. Bye, everybody.
Peace.
Bye.
Aloha. Bye. Drew, I'm hanging up. I'm so sleepy.
All right. See ya.
All right. I love you guys. Bye.
Bye.